And it's a quote I hear in the conversation I have, is that people have no idea how fast things are changing. And for me, it's exciting. We're living during the most exciting time ever in human history. Yes, absolutely. And it's a time during which there is nothing that we can't do. And I believe this, and I'm the guy, not half glass full, it's half overflowing, that there is the opportunity in the next 20 years for us to really address and solve all of humanity's grand challenges. That we will solve them over and over again, that we'll be able to overcome our challenges. Now, it doesn't mean we're not going to have difficulties and bumps on the road there. We are. But in surviving that, we're about to undergo this massive transformation of what it means to be human. We're reinventing culture. We're reinventing how we educate our kids, how we govern our nations. We're reinventing everything, and fundamentally the whole definition of humanity. And it's an extraordinary time, and we're alive during that time.
It is with my great honor that I am going to introduce in just a moment a brilliant person who's become a dear friend of mine. I've known him for several years. Amazing guy. I could talk for an hour just on what this man has done and what he has brought to the world. His name is Peter Diamandis, and he's an international pioneer in the fields of innovation, incentive competitions, and commercial space. As a matter of fact, I think he's the person responsible for what we're now seeing as private space travel. Without him, it would have taken the planet probably another decade or two to accomplish what's happening right now. In 2014, he was named one of the world's 50 greatest leaders by Fortune magazine. He's also the founder and executive chairman of the X Prize Foundation, best known for its $10 million X Prize for private spaceflight. Diamandis is a New York Times bestselling author of Abundance, The Future is Bigger Than You Think, which many Genius Network members here were super involved in the launch of that book, which is amazing. Also, his next book is Bold, How to Go Big, Create Wealth, and Impact the World. And his mission is to open the space frontier for humanity, and his personal motto is, the best way to predict the future is to create it yourself. Peter, I don't think there's another human on the planet that knows more about how to share with you in a way that you will understand it, see it, envision it, what is going on in the future that's coming up that could basically save you years of figuring out where to put your focus and attention on. This guy is the best in the world at what he does, and he is about to blow your mind. So give it up for my dear friend, Peter Diamandis.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, everybody. And just to say it live, my life did change after I met Joe. And that change was in two parts. One, meeting Joe. You've been an incredibly giving, amazing human soul, Joe, so thank you for all that you do in the world. And then, of course, his introduction to Dan and the entire team at Strategic Coach and this amazing community. It's really a coming together of the family every year, right? It's an amazing time to get together and have fun, sort of renew those relationships and talk about how the world is changing. Those of you who are part of my Abundance 360 program, I've got Marissa Brassfield, my operations goddess here, know that we sort of focus on what's going from deceptive to disruptive every year. And I want to give a little bit of an overview here on some of these points. Let's get the slides up if we could. Should we back up one second? Here we go. So I've named this talk, Ultimate Freedom, Anything is Possible, and the subtitle is It's 20 Years Till Godlike Powers. And I'm sort of serious about that. If you think about how we describe godlike powers, it's omniscience, omnipresence, omnipotence. It's the ability to know what's going on, impact things, be everywhere. And those types of capabilities are coming at us at lightning speed. I put this up because this is a conversation I have a lot in Silicon Valley. I'll give you a chance to download all these slides at the end, by the way. And it's a quote I hear in the conversation I have, is that people have no idea how fast things are changing. And for me, it's exciting. We're living during the most exciting time ever in human history. Yes, absolutely. And it's a time during which there is nothing that we can't do. And I believe this, and I'm the guy, not half glass full, it's half overflowing, that there is the opportunity in the next 20 years for us to really address and solve all of humanity's grand challenges. That we will solve them over and over again, that we'll be able to overcome our challenges. Now, it doesn't mean we're not going to have difficulties and bumps on the road there. We are. But in surviving that, we're about to undergo this massive transformation of what it means to be human. We're reinventing culture. We're reinventing how we educate our kids, how we govern our nations. We're reinventing everything, and fundamentally the whole definition of humanity. And it's an extraordinary time, and we're alive during that time. And my goal here is for you not to become an expert in any one piece of technology. I want you to get a sense of what's coming down the pike. And at the end, I want to talk a little bit philosophically about the transformation of the human race, because I think we're at a period of time where we're transforming fundamentally all of these. So I'm going to hit on a few areas, and my goal here is, again, just to give you a sense of the energy and the velocity of what's going on, and empowerment and the freedom it's going to bring. And I'm going to pay extra if we could warm this room up. Who's with me on that one, right? So I'll pay your heating bill here, Joe. So let's talk about computation. So underlying all of the technology going on right now is what's called Moore's Law. This guy, Gordon Moore, who invented the integrated circuit, started Intel in 1958. By 1965, 7 years later, he says, listen, the number of transistors on an integrated circuit is roughly doubling every 12 to 24 months. And he says it's likely to continue. And that statement has held true for 50 years. So this is the first integrated circuit ever. These are two transistors, one horizontal, one vertical. This is Intel's first product, the 4004, 2,300 transistors, $1 each. But fast forward 40 years, and you get here. This is NVIDIA's graphical process unit that's in your Xbox and your PlayStation. 7.1 billion transistors, a millionth of a penny each. It's a 100 billion-fold price performance improvement. And that 100 billion-fold price performance improvement is just getting going, right? This is why the world is getting faster. This is why we can 10x things so much faster than ever before. And if you graph this over 100 years, you see this graph of computational power just exploding. This is on a log scale. And you don't see World War I or World War II. You see this smooth progression of faster computers building faster computers, building faster computers. And it continues. And this is what it looks like in terms of total computational power on the globe. It's exploding more than ever before. Now, fast forwarding here, and you might have seen this, right? By 2023, the average $1,000 computer is calculating at the rate of your brain, a human brain. And then 25 years later, a single $1,000 computer is now calculating at the rate of the entire human race. But what's also coming on, what I'm excited about, what we're going to be talking about at Abundance 360 this year, is quantum computing. I'm bringing in the CEO of Rigetti Quantum Computing, which is one of the massive game changers. So it's not important for you to understand what quantum computing is, but just what it's going to mean. So we're going to see the first quantum computers coming online in this next year, out of Google, out of Rigetti, out of China. And these are computers that are able to compute in a new way that is sort of magical. What quantum computing can do great is it can model what's going on inside of a human cell perfectly. It can model drug discovery better than all the computers on the planet put together. It's going to be able to accelerate machine learning, which is underlying AI. So we're going to see this sort of this bump in the curve, this rapid acceleration of AI coming out of quantum computers. We're going to see the discovery of new molecules, the discovery of even how natural systems like the climate works. So quantum computing is going to change the game everywhere. And it's coming on, the first quantum transistors, the first quantum computers are coming online in 2017. So we're going to bring the CEO in to talk about that. And the thing is that computers by themselves are interesting, but faster, cheaper computers are driving all of these technologies I'm talking about. And you can be an expert in any one of these technologies, but it's not enough. It's the combination. It's the unexpected convergent consequences of AI and robotics and 3D printing coming together. They're creating new business models. They're creating the Ubers. They're creating the Airbnbs. They're creating, blockchain companies. So let's talk about networks and sensors. So we're living on a planet that is being more networked than ever before. My friends at Cisco talk about the Internet of Things, the IoT. And so by 2020, we're expected to have on the order of 100 billion connected devices, right? 100 billion devices, your phone, your watch, your TV, all these things are becoming connected on the IoT. And those connected devices have on the order of a dozen sensors or more. Your phone probably has 15 to 20 sensors inside. And that means we're going to be living in a world of 1 trillion sensors, right? But by 2030, that number is going from 1 trillion sensors to 100 trillion sensors. What does that mean? It means that we're living in a world where you can know anything you want, right? I can't stress this enough. It's a world in which it's not, is the information accessible, but what question are you asking? So I want you to imagine a world in which if you're a marketer, you can say, hey, right now, how many people are wearing Kelly green on the planet, and know that number, and be able to measure what colors are changing, what designs are changing, what's going on, being able to image from space and know on any square meter on the planet what's happening, right? If you want to measure what your competition is doing in China, you can image raw material coming into one end of the factory and final products coming out the other. It's going to change the game in investing. You can actually know how many people are buying toys at Toys R Us any day by imaging cars in the parking lot or the size of the packages coming out. So what happens when you can know anything you want? Right? So this omniscience, this godlike power of knowing anything you want, because 100 trillion sensors in the world give you the ability to know that information. It's going to change the whole concept of privacy. We'll talk more about that. We're about to connect 8 billion people. Today on planet Earth are 2.9 billion people connected, but Facebook and Google and SpaceX and Qualcomm are putting up constellations that will give every single person on the planet a megabit connection or more. So we haven't seen the greatest growth in human per capita income. It's about to hit us, right? When 5 billion new people come online like never before. That's a long tail. If they're not your customers, they're your customers' customers. I love this. This is from a friend of mine, Mukesh Ambani, out of India. He's the wealthiest guy in India. His company just agreed to offer free voice across any of their networks, right? So throughout 1 billion people now having free telephony. And we've just seen the announcement of a $4 mobile phone. And I've seen designs for a $10 tablet. And when you get to a $10 tablet, you're giving them away to every person on the planet. Why? Because if they don't have a digital device, you can't sell them anything. So imagine every child, every person on the planet digitally connected with a megabit connection. What's that mean for opportunity? These 5 billion people don't have insurance, they don't have banking, they don't have Joe's books. Huge opportunities. And then sensors. Sensors are exploding every place. We're about to see an explosion area I'm interested in of biomedical sensors, where we're measuring everything going on in your body all the time, right? Your blood glucose, your vitamin D levels, your, whatever it might be, and then being able to sort of give you instantaneous medical feedback where you know way in advance of what's happening to your body. This is part of the sort of revolution in healthcare that's coming our way. So on robotics are going to start entering every aspect of our lives. I want to give you a little taste of this, right? This is a Tesla factory where it's all robots and like one sort of human overlord sort of getting paid minimum wage to watch them do their thing. And we're about to see robotics. This is a startup out of Google where you're seeing robots coming in and basically being the surgeon. So, and you've heard me say this before, in the future, if you ever have to have any kind of surgery, and you see that, sort of gray-haired doctor coming at you, you're going to say, oh, no, please stay away. I want the robot that's done it 10,000 times perfectly, that hasn't had too much coffee or a fight with their husband or wife the night before, whatever the case might be. And what happens then is that the best surgeons on the planet are effectively free, right? They're the cost of electricity and the depreciated capex of the equipment. So we're about to see a transformation in medicine where diagnostics are all done by AI and surgery is all done by robots. And all of a sudden, the best surgery, the best medical care is free, democratized, and demonetized across the planet. So I'm going to show you this video and then talk about it. This is from a friend of mine, his company, which has produced 2 robots. Let's show this and we'll talk about it.
Non-expert can program and operate the robot. They're interacting side by side with the robot right in the manufacturing floor. So they're directly manipulating the arm and easily training the robot. So it's a dramatic expansion of where robots can be used and who can use them.
Thank God for bulletproof, keeps you warm and gives you energy. So Sawyer and Baxter are robots that are being produced. You know where the biggest place they're being sold is? It's in China, because the cost of labor for Chinese are going up, and they want to maintain their manufacturing base. And so they provide these robots which can operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, without drug testing, without being late for work, at $4 an hour. So we're going to start to see robots entering our workforce in extraordinary ways. So we've heard about sort of technological unemployment, which is going to be something we have to deal with. And we have to figure out, can we upskill our laborers so that people who are replaced by these robots, and by the way, I talk about interface moments at Abundance 360. These robots, which we saw last year, we saw Sawyer and Baxter at A360 last year, these robots are programmable by the line worker. There's no special programming code. You just pick up the arm and you move it, and then the robot does exactly what you told it to do. So let's take a look at this. These robots, but created by Boston Dynamics, are perhaps the most advanced on the planet. Boston Dynamics is currently owned by Google. The CEO of Boston Dynamics is going to be my guest. We're going to be talking about the work that he does at A360 this year. Again, nothing more advanced. Let's take a look at this quick video. So I want you to imagine, seeing this guy walk out the front door of your business. But extraordinary tetherless operations. And of course, there is going to be a lot of interactions between robots and humans. Some of them, especially if you're being replaced by a robot, may look like this. I still want to see that robot turn around and slug the guy. So one of the things that I didn't mention up front is our perception. The challenge is we have a perception because the way our brains are physically wired and the way that our wetware and software of our brains are designed is we're linear thinkers. We don't realize when technologies are really exploding, right? We're in this linear, slow, deceptive phase, and it explodes onto the scene. So we're just about to see robots explode onto the scene this next decade. We don't realize this now. We can't imagine a time when we didn't have our cell phones. But there was, right? Not too long ago, 20 years ago, where the cell phone was like not around all the time as it's functional. We're going to see these robots coming in. In fact, all of these technologies are at the knee of the curve about to explode onto the scene. So autonomous cars are one of those. I'm going to be bringing into Abundance 360 this year Jeff Holden. Jeff is the head of autonomous cars and AI at Uber. He's going to be talking about the implications of autonomous cars. We're going to see what's going on with Uber's autonomous car program. But when you have an autonomous car, all of a sudden you don't own cars anymore. You own car as a service. And if you don't own a car anymore, you don't need auto insurance, you don't need parking lots, you don't need garages at your home. We're going to see car as a service you whenever you need. You need a car, Monday morning because you were up late Sunday night with a bed in it so you can sleep on your way to work. Fantastic. You want a car as a collaborative facility with a couch and a conference table? Great. We're going to see autonomous cars changing real estate, changing retail in the next 3 to 4 years, right? Very rapid adoption coming online. I'll show you that in a moment. This is Google's earliest autonomous cars. They're now in partnership with a number of car companies. Every major car company, right? Ford has announced a production line for autonomous cars coming online in 2021. This is not theory, this is real. So let's take a look at one of these autonomous cars on a slalom course just to see what it can do.
Oh my God. Oh dear Lord.
Oh my God, this is so awesome.
And Uber right now in Pittsburgh has deployed autonomous cars. You can go and do it. It's got a safety driver there, but just take a look at this.
So we're in the Uber, and I'm going to press this green button, giant green button in the iPad that says "Let's Ride." There is sort of a weird, sort of colorful psychedelic map that's showing all of the stuff going on around us. The driver is sort of hovering with his hands over the wheel, but not touching the wheel, or just barely touching the wheel. And here we are. We're stopping at a stop sign. There's cars going by. You can see them on the screen.
So 1.2 million people a year die from auto accidents. We're going to see that go to zero as autonomous cars come online. But it's going to change how we operate, right? My kids, who are now 5, will never drive a car. They'll get into autonomous cars in 3 or 4 years and say, take me to Billy's house. And that's the way it's going to be. It's going to change our culture. It's going to change our operations. You may go and buy, instead of, I live in Santa Monica, if I were willing to drive an hour, real estate prices are a tenth for the same house, right? So what happens all of a sudden if you can, cities are going to start to sprawl. We're going to start to change real estate values. I'm going to put a fund together to go short on parking garages. I'm serious. Buy them up, they're going to die, and then put buildings there. So we're going to start to see a lot of implicated changes. 8 times as many cars get packed on the road when you have autonomous cars because of packing efficiencies. So all of a sudden, Caterpillar is worried about that. And oh, by the way, guess what? Cities lose all their revenues from parking tickets and from speeding tickets. They should be worried about that. So the dominoes that come from one simple example that are going to start to hit in the next 3 or 4 years, I mean, how many billions of dollars of ideas are going to come out of it? So we're going to spend about 90 minutes, 2 hours with Jeff Holden talking about what's really happening, on what schedule, what the implications are, and sort of a mastermind conversation on that. Take a look at one more of Boston Dynamics. Mark Reibert, who's the CEO, is brilliant, and we'll talk more about these robots soon enough.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying this video, and I want to let you know that I have a new book that's come out, and if you'd like to get it absolutely free, there's a link below in the description, or you can wait till the end of this video, or you can simply go to joesfreebook.com and you can get a copy there.
Kind of freaky, huh? Kind of cute. My kids want to. Try and teach your dog to do that one. You get the idea. So we're going to start to see, this is just the earliest days of the dot matrix printer equivalent of robots, right? Billions of dollars flowing to these robots are going to enter our homes. They're going to enter our hospitals. They're going to enter our retail spaces. We're going to start to utilize them. We're going to start to give them names. Androids. We just had at X Prize these last 3 days. We have our Visioneer Summit. 2 major robotic prizes won top honors, an Avatar X Prize and an Iron Man X Prize. We're going to start seeing those coming online very shortly. Let's talk about genomics and synthetic biology. So we have the ability today to read DNA, to sequence the 3.2 billion letters in your body, right? You can look at that curve. That white line is Moore's law. It's how fast computers are getting faster. That green line is how fast the cost of sequencing has plummeted, 5 times faster than Moore's law. Now here's the realization. I can go up to you, shake your hand, scrape a few cells off of you, sequence it, and know everything about you. So this concept of privacy is going to have to be reinvented, right? Privacy is going away very quickly. And it's actually privacy is a rather recent invention of humanity, where this idea that we all have privacy didn't exist thousands of years ago. So we can also start to write DNA. You can write the DNA. You can actually, in a computer, generate a sequence that can create a novel protein. Craig Venter, my business partner, who sequenced the first human genome, created on a computer a 1 million base pair sequence that coded for a unique original life form. So on a computer, he generated a life form in DNA that he stuck that piece of DNA into a blank cell, and that read the DNA and it booted up and became a self-replicating life form, right? The first life form whose parents were an email file. No shit. And now we have the most powerful technology that has come online in the last 3 years. It's called CRISPR Cas9. It's the ability to actually go in and edit your genome of a living organism, of you. So this is the ability to go in and find out if you have a child, God forbid, born with a disease, being able to go in there and actually give that child an injection of the right CRISPR Cas9 packet that will go in and snip out the bad gene and put in a correct gene. Right? So I don't know who got my email this past weekend on designer babies, but we're heading in that direction. And it's a lot of moral and ethical conversations, right? You give your kids the best health care, the best education, the best clothing. Is it wrong to give them the best genes? I mean, we're going to start to see this conversation coming in an extraordinary fashion. You know the work I do with human longevity. Our goal is to make 100 years old than you 60. We are on goal to sequence 100,000 genomes by the end of the year, 1 million to 5 million. How many folks have actually gone through HLI, through the health nucleus? I know Joe just went this past week. And what we do is we generate about 150 gigabytes of data about you. And then we put that data into our machine learning protocols to understand what's going on in your body today. We've saved a lot of people's lives. And then what's likely to happen to you, so we can actually give you your preferred future healthcare plans, because when you get to the hospital with a disease, it didn't happen that morning. It's been going on for a while. Can you catch it at stage 0 or stage 1 when it's curable? And the whole idea here is making medicine personalized, proactive, and predictive. So we're about to enter a period of time where I believe we're about to double the human lifespan again, right? Where 100, 120, and older will become the norm. So how does that change the way you view your life, right? We talk about time scarcity, worried about, oh my God, not enough time to do the shit I want to do. But what if I tell you, hey, you got lots of time, decades more. Would you relax and enjoy life a little more? Probably not, but, you know, interesting way to think about it. We're also entering a period of time where we're about to interface your brain, your cortex, with the computer, with the cloud. So if you were at A360 last year, you heard Ray Kurzweil talking about his predictions for the early 2030s, where we're going to have nanobots connecting to our neurons and allowing us to connect to the cloud. 1,000x the memory capacity, 1 million times the computational capacity. I mean, what's that going to be like when we can actually connect your brain to Google, right? Google on the brain. Now, here's the freaky thing, right? Ray has an 86% accuracy on his predictions. And he truly believes this, early 2030s. That's like 15 years from now. That's really near term. So how does that change how we raise our kids? What we think of as our business? AI. What is AI? AI is the ability of a computer to understand what you're asking, to go out to all the information it has access to, and then give you the best answer. It's simply what it is. It's a conversation with the computer. We may think of AI as HAL from 2001, or Siri, or Google Now, or I prefer Jarvis, right? And I think we're all going to have a version of Jarvis in the next 10 years, where you say, hey, Jarvis, give me all the data on Joe's marketing experience, and it comes on up, and you ask Jarvis questions, and it is able to look at that information and give you an answer. And you probably have all seen this, but just to give you context again, I want to show this video. It's short, but it gives you a sense of what AI is going to be like. Because AI can tap into, the world's information is digitized. It's on the net. And our ability to go and access it is very limited, but an AI that's able to literally, especially with quantum computing coming online, to look at all the information and give you the best accurate answer is going to make what I'm going to show you now look like it's history.
Ken, you're in the first position. Please make a selection.
Oh, I've never said this on TV. Chicks dig me for 200, please, Jimmy.
Kathleen Kenyon's excavation of this city, mentioned in Joshua, showed the walls had been repaired 17 times. Watson.
What is Jericho?
Correct.
400, same category.
This mystery author and her archaeologist hubby dug in hopes of finding the lost Syrian city of Urkesh. Watson?
Who is Agatha Christie?
Correct. Watson?
Who is Mary Leakey?
You're right. Watson?
What is Crete?
Yes.
Let's finish Chicks Dig Me.
So that was 5 years ago, and we've gone orders of magnitude. This was IBM's Watson computer. It was 2,800 Power 7 processors in a room about the size of this dais here. It's now on the cloud. It fits on 3 pizza boxes, 3 blade servers. And that's one of 1,000 AIs coming online, right? Google is coming in, Alibaba's coming in. Every company is coming with AIs you can talk to and access. You have a little bit of it with Amazon Echo. So this is an explosion in AI investments. We're seeing an exponential rise in the amount of money going to AI, the number of companies being started. We just announced an AI X Prize, had 3,000 pre-registered entrants into that one, more than any time before. So AI is about to change all of our lives in a way we cannot even fathom yet. It's going to change how we market, how we sell, how we interact. You know, one of the conversations is AI dangerous or not? Elon and Sam Altman, who run Y Combinator, committed $1 billion into a fund to open source AI so that it's not in the hands of any single individual. And one of the things that they've done, they've got an open AI challenge right now for an AI to drive computers, to drive robots in your home that can do all your housework. That's going to be the sort of what's going to come online. So in 5 years, we'll all have neat homes. Let's look at 3D printing. 3D printing is the ability to print layer by layer by layer in 300 different materials, full color, anything from titanium turbine blades to dresses to artificial parts of your body to metal rings. And here's what's going to be happening with 3D printing. It's the combination of 3D printing and AI that's going to change it all. So I want you to imagine the future. If you want something, if you can describe something, you can say to an AI, can you please build me a device with a handle that's sort of round and I can put hot bulletproof coffee into, and it starts to design, it listens to what you say, and it goes from your mind to materialization. And you can say, I want it cheaper, I want it shinier. You can describe your intentions. And AI will then shape it for you. Say, that's it, please print. So all of a sudden, all of us are makers. All of us are designers, right? And say, can you put it up on the cloud and charge a penny for anyone who wants to produce that? So it's going to change the entire retail industry. You want to describe the kind of dress you want, the kind of accoutrement you want, what kind of car you want, and have AI design it for you and then print it for you. That's not very far away. That's a user interface moment. On energy, right? You've heard me say we live on a planet that's bathed in 8,000 times more energy than we consume as a species. right? 8,000 times more energy hits the Earth's surface from the sun than we consume as a species. Look at this number. It's a little bit of an eye chart. That red dotted horizontal line is the price of natural gas electricity. Coal is above that. But solar is plummeting in cost. In fact, last month or 2 months ago, we had a new all-time record low of 2.91 cents per kilowatt hour. The point here is that we're going to destroy the old coal, oil, and natural gas industry because solar is coming in so fast, so hot, so low, growing exponentially around the world. And the poorest parts of the world are the sunniest. So we're about to see this democratization, this demonetization of energy. Energy is going to become cheap and available around the world. And I don't care how much money the oil and coal gas companies have in their pockets. When you can get free electricity on your rooftop by installing whatever it might be, it's going to change everything. And if you have abundant energy, you've got everything else. Energy drives clean water, drives everything on this planet. We're heading towards what my friend calls a squanderable abundance of energy. We're going to start to see VR and AR coming online very powerfully. This is Lara Croft 17 years ago, generated by your PC. This is Lara Croft today. Your computer is able to generate photorealistic images. And what we're seeing in the virtual world is billions of dollars, $5 to $10 billion invested in the last 2 years by Sony, by Apple, by Google, by Samsung, by Facebook, by all these companies, right? We see this explosion of VR. Now, here's the interesting thing. The VR headsets you get today are at 2K resolution screens. Your brain, your visual cortex of your brain, can only distinguish at about 8K resolution. So when you get an 8K VR headset, just 2 generations away, 4 years out, you're going to put on your VR headset and take it off, and you can't tell the difference. So I talk about at A360, we're going to start to virtualize our technology, our experiences. We're going to be hitting VR very hard this year, bringing in the head of Stanford's VR labs, talk about what's going on in the VR space. The AR space is even bigger. Augmented reality is those of you wearing glasses today. In the future, your glasses are not going to be just glasses to focus. These glasses are going to be giving you up all the information you want. You're going to be seeing the real world through those glasses and an augmented world mixed in with it, right? So that at your table can be someone sitting that looks like they're sitting there, but they're not really there, right? There's someone that's beamed in through this technology. Let's take a quick look at this video by Microsoft of what that looks like.
What if we could go beyond the screen, where your digital world is blended with your real world? Now we can. This is the world with holograms. What will they enable us to do? New ways to visualize our work.
I have an idea for the fuel tank.
New ways to share ideas with each other.
How are things going your end?
I just put the images in OneDrive.
Perfect.
More immersive ways to play.
Killer video games. You get the idea. It's going to change the entire face of retail, right? When you go to buy your Tesla, you sit in the car, and next to you is Elon Musk pitching you the features, right? Driven by an AI. I'm serious. You're going to go, and we're going to see this explosion of the elimination of the middleman. Because when I go to buy my house, I'll go into a VR tour of a house at 3 o'clock in the morning where an AI is giving me a guided tour, and when I'm sitting there and saying, you know, I wonder what my furniture would look like inside this house, it can show me. It can show me what $100,000 worth of gardening would look like in the backyard too, and I can say, hey, great, bid on it right now. This is not 20 or 30 years. This is this decade coming in hot and heavy. One of the other areas, you know, that I'm passionate about as a 9-year-old kid inside me is the whole field of space exploration. And it's being driven in part by these two guys, right? I've known both. I've known Jeff since college. He was heading the Princeton SEDS chapter. I was the national chairman, and Elon since 2000. I know that Jeff committed to make all his wealth in Amazon and spend it on opening up the space frontier. So Elon wants to take us to Mars. Jeff wants to take millions of people to orbit and take heavy industry off the planet into space. This is a look at Elon's major accomplishment of bringing the Falcon 9 first stage back to the ground. Let's take a look at this.
Liftoff of the Falcon 9.
So this is the launch of the Falcon 9 boosters on the first stage. It launches its satellites to orbit, and then the Falcon 9 first stage returns back to the launch site, recovering 80% of the cost of that vehicle. Never thought possible. If I were to ask you, what percentage of a rocket cost is the fuel? What do you think? Throw out a number. A lot, 80%, 10%, 0.5%. It's 0.5%. So if you could bring back the vehicle, then your cost per reflight is nil. This is Jeff Bezos with his New Shepard, his suborbital vehicle. Let's take a look.
2, 1, 0. And liftoff. New Shepard has cleared the tower. Throttle down from execute. Separation. Apogee, 333,000 feet.
So this is the apogee that is the X Prize apogee that they hit. The capsule comes back on a parachute in this version, but what he's done as well is mastered the horizontal landing of their booster.
Landing gear deploying.
Again, recovering all of the costs of the price per flight is extremely low. This was the challenge we gave them as part of the X Prize back in 2004. So these are the boosters, and I love seeing this sort of like this phallic competition of billionaires. This is the Falcon 9 that's been flying, and next to is the Falcon 9 Heavy that will launch towards the end of this year. And of course, Jeff had to do him one greater, so here's Jeff's new vehicle, which is larger and bigger and better. It's the New Glenn, the 2-stage and the 3-stage that will be effectively the capacity of the Saturn V launcher that got us to the moon. And of course, Jeff announces that, so Elon had to do one better, which is to announce an even bigger booster called the Interplanetary Colonial Transport. But let's take a look at this video, which was just announced by Elon last week in Mexico, which is his plans to take people privately to Mars. So this is his Colonial Transport launching from Pad 39A, which is carrying 100 people at a time. His goal is a $500,000 price tag to go to Mars, something anyone in this room can afford. By the way, it's a round-trip ticket. It comes back, it lands, it refuels, and it takes off again. His goal is 1 million people on the Martian surface. The year is 2016 today. His goal for that first mission, 2024, 8 years from now. At the same time, my company, Planetary Resources, is focused on near-Earth asteroids. In the last 15 years, about 1,000 one-kilometer asteroids have been discovered. Of those 1,000, we've identified 11 that come near the Earth that are the most precious, right? What are we going after in these asteroids? We're going after fuel. Elon's missions require refueling in space. So our goal is to actually provide the fuel, hydrogen and oxygen and methane for those missions. The other valuable assets are platinum group metals, platinum, palladium, iridium, osmium, that are 1,000 times richer on these asteroids than on the best mines on Earth. This is an example of one of those asteroids we're going after, UW-158. It's a half kilometer by kilometer in size. And on the open market, this asteroid, if you could put on your balance sheet today, which I hope to, is worth $5.4 trillion. Here's the vehicles we're using to go out and prospect those asteroids. Chris Lewicki on the left is the CEO. I serve as executive chairman. He landed 3 missions on the Martian surface. Larry Page was our second investor. And our goal is our first asteroid mission in the next 3 years. So, where's this all going? I want to give you a sense of sort of this evolution that the human race is about to undergo, this transformation that I think is a phase change. It's like going from ice to water or water to steam. When I look at the analogy of life on this planet, the very first life forms formed about 1 billion years after the Earth cooled. In 3.5 billion years ago, the first life forms were prokaryotic cells, very simple bags of cytoplasm and DNA. Right? It was just literally a bag of DNA inside, the simplest life form possible. They're called prokaryotes. 1 billion years later, the next technology generation occurred. These are eukaryotic cells. These eukaryotic cells had inside of them technology incorporated, organelles, mitochondria that could process oxygen and increase the amount of energy. They had nuclei that protected the DNA. They had devices like Golgi apparatus, endoplasmic reticulums. These were technologies incorporated into these cells to make them able to do more and more and more. The next generation, a few years later, actually 1 billion years later, was multicellular life, where these cells started coming together to collaborate. And today, each of us is a collection of 10 trillion individual cells that make up me or you. And what we're doing right now, we as humans are at the prokaryotic cell today. We're about to start incorporating into our bodies the technology, our digital devices, our editing of our genome. We're about to go from prokaryotic cells to eukaryotic cells. We're in that transformational phase right now. And once we have that capacity, that brain-computer interface we talked about, that Ray's talked about, and I know 3 companies working on brain cortical implants right this second, we're then going to become multicellular, where it's not just me, but I'm connected to you. I'm connected to anyone, to everyone, where we're coming together as a meta-intelligence, right? Where this connected world is us connected. When I plug my brain into the cloud, I know how you feel. It's a level of intimacy like we have never experienced before. And I think we're going to become conscious at a brand new level, this level of a meta-intelligence. And we look out there into the solar system, and we have this transition from the simplest life to human evolutus, which is a term that people use about what we're evolving into in this next 20 or 30-year time frame. We look out there into the solar system, I think we're going to see that level of consciousness existing out there in the 100 billion stars and the 100 billion galaxies out. So we're heading towards a world like never before, a world in which we're going to not only solve all our biggest problems, but transform what it means to be human, a level of freedom like never before. I have to show one last slide, which is a slide that I think, if Joe had kids or when he has kids, this is the kind of dad Joe would be. See that shit, kids? That shit's the fucking future. If you want these slides, please share them, please use them. Just text your email, only your email, to that number, and you'll get that set down by server. Do we have time for one question?
What we're going to do 10 minutes of questions. And
fantastic.
The way this works, and we're not going over 10 minutes, is you have to go to the mic, ask Peter a question, and hit us with some funny shit. What do you think of that, though? Was that how many of you think this is scary? You feel like this is a little scary. How many of you think this is awesome? Okay?
Awesome.
All right, let's go with Dave Asprey. Bulletproof coffee. How much have you drank today?
A lot.
A lot, yeah.
I noticed you're looking even more attractive than normal.
Thank you,
it must
thank
be
you.
the coffee. Big question, was it sabotage?
The SpaceX launch?
The SpaceX launch.
No. It's just, listen, it's early days. So SpaceX lost a booster about 3 weeks ago when apparently the helium tank, which pressurized upper stage, broke. These are the early days. I mean, it's like flying in the 1920s. As the flight frequency goes up, these systems will become so robust and so reliable. The reason that we get an airplane today and it always works is because we've had hundreds of millions, if not billions, of flight hours or flights of those vehicles. Yeah.
Hey, Peter.
Giovanni.
Based on everything you said, we can probably predict a massive shift in the workforce. What advice would you have for those of us with children in terms of education or what fields to get into?
So I think about that a lot. I have 2 5-year-old fraternal twin boys, and they're just entering that process right now. And my realization is you're heading into a world where you're going to be able to learn anything you want almost instantly, that it's not about learning a skill. And so I think about what should they know? How should they be driven and programmed? And for me, it's 3 things. It's having a passion. So my goal is just helping them get experienced everything so they become passionate about something, because that's driven me. My passion about space and exponential technologies and grand challenges. The second thing is curiosity, remaining as curious as they can and allowing them to color outside the lines. And the third thing is grit. It's like not giving up, because they're going to be given the tools to do everything else. I don't know if college is going to be relevant. No, that's true. But so it's going to change. We have a global learning X Prize that Elon Musk funded for $15 million to take a child in the middle of no place with an Android app from illiteracy to reading, writing, and numeracy in 18 months on their own. And we're going to have that ability to hyper-accelerate learning. But even then, right, we got spell check, we got calculators. So it's figuring out what's more important than the basics. I think it's asking great questions. It's remaining curious in the world.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Jim Duke?
Well, I hope Peter Diamandis is half as good as you were today.
Thank you.
Peter, one thing, I love all this future and what's happening, but one thing I'm concerned about is the massive amounts of nuclear weapons that are on the planet. Yeah. And do you have any thoughts about anything that is being done to help reduce the risk of that?
Yeah, we're getting off
problem?
planet. We're going to Mars. No, just kidding. Okay. So here is the basic answer I'll give to that. I talk about the loss of privacy. I talk about the fact that quantum computers are going to allow you to hack into any code. Forget about whatever your email protection schemes are. Quantum computing allows you to break any unbreakable codes. We're going to start to be able to see digital trails, everything. AI is listening, seeing everything. And it gets scary to say, oh my God, there's this massive loss of privacy. What am I going to do? Listen, the flip side of a massive loss of privacy allows me to sleep at night. Because it becomes really hard for a bad actor to do something bad. You know that one of the programs that the Lindbergh Foundation funds is quadcopters flying over herds of rhinos to actually catch poachers poaching them. And when you see quadcopters flying above, you stop poaching because you don't want to be caught. And if you're a cop and a dashboard camera catches you beating someone up, you're persecuted. So people do bad things when they're not being watched. So I think there's a chance that what I call radical transparency is going to help make this world a safer place. So that's the way I think about that.
Okay, thank you.
Similar to Giovanni's question, what is the future of the workforce if Uber drivers are going to be replaced by self-driving cars and doctors are replaced by robots? What do all these people do? Do they just study AI and?
So we're going to talk about that at Abundance 360 this year. Who here in the audience is an A360 member? Just see show of hands. Okay, about a couple dozen of you. One of the things that's happening is the realization that actually most people hate their jobs. If you actually go and Google the poll, there was a poll done, and about 70% of people in America hate their jobs today. They don't clean toilets or stock boxes because it's what they love to do. And ultimately, we're about to give people the ability to do what they love. We're going to have reverse income tax where people have their basic needs being met, and now if you love to tell stories, hang out with your kids. I'm going to have a conversation with Tony Robbins this year about that, which is what do people who are driven by significance do? So this is an exploration. There's no easy answer. We're going to have to face it in this next 2 decades, but we're going to transform the workforce. That's for sure.
Well, also, too, like it's the thing, conversations you have with Dan Sullivan about the physical dangers in this world have dramatically decreased, but the psychological dangers have dramatically increased. So I think the complexity, I mean, you know, I talked about it at Abundance 360 last year. Tonight, we're actually, later today, we'll play a trailer of what has become of that moonshot with addiction, and what we're doing with Artists for Addicts. So I think there's going to be so many new jobs created, which requires new skills. And so to be on the cutting edge of even seeing what Peter just presented, I mean, how many of you have a new business idea or model just from his short presentation? Yeah, I mean, so this is going to be so much work available. I don't think it's ever going to.
You know, Mark Andreessen, Ray Kurzweil, a number of individuals predict that the number of new jobs being created are going to far outpace jobs lost. And we'll see if that's true. I think we're all going to spend our time in virtual worlds. I'm serious. Exploring a lot, playing a lot, and creating a lot.
So,
spaceships.
I'm excited and scared by this, which I like. That's exciting. But I think what is missing is a very female component, which is understanding what's going to happen to sex, love, and relationships. Because as we scale tech, we still haven't hacked our own primal desires and shadows, what he's talking about, addictions. So I'm a sex, love, and relationship expert. I just came from New York talking about doing like TV shows based around this idea. So as we become scaling, we're talking about scale, 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 yet we still haven't hacked our most basic human desires and primal, sexuality. Is sex going to become virtual? I think we, leave out that female piece. And when I was watching that slide, the thought I had was, I don't know if all these men are thinking outside the box because they're making giant penises to go to outer space. And it made me think of growing up and, watching spaceships, or I've done a little bit of psychedelics, and the other forms of intelligence I saw were horizontal.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting thought. What if these men thought outside of their box and always scaling linear? And even what if there was a better form of a spaceship or space travel that was horizontal, shaped more female?
So I think, to answer your sort of question,
I'm posing a bigger question, which is, it's a lot of tech and it's male. Where's the female heart,
do?
soul?
They bring vagina-shaped spaceships in the.
But what about I'm saying we aren't thinking that we're not thinking very female. We are forgetting. I think
we are
important.
going to reinvent to some degree a new level of intimacy. If I can truly know your thoughts, if I'm connected to the cloud and you're connected to the cloud, and I can feel and see through your eyes, if I can feel your heart, there's a level of intimacy which I think is a purveyor of peace. Because, again, you're a collection of 10 trillion human cells. I don't go stabbing my arm, at least most of us don't, right? But your arm is all these life forms, but we work together. We're creating this massive nervous system, this ability to understand and feel each other's opportunities and pain. And yes, I think dealing with human primal feelings is critically important. And again, part of the transformation that I believe is coming is going to be to start to expand the thin paper towel size cortical cortex of your brain, which is your higher brain function as compared to your brain stem function. So there's a transformation about to occur. I mean, if you feel it or see it, my whole point here is not to teach you about these technologies, but to give you a sense that we're at the knee of a curve, right? 10 doublings after, you're 1,000 times better. 20 doublings, you're 1,000,000 times. 30 doublings, you're 1,000,000,000 times. A lot of change is happening in the next 30 years. And I just want you to, we're going from deceptive to disruptive. I want you to feel this because, for me, it can be scary. And one of the first times when I was here with Dan and here with Joe talking about what Abundance 360, we're in our 5th year now at A360. It started the year before at the first event here. It's my goal is to give you the confidence to become excited and hopeful about the future, not scared by it.
And can I say this too? And also, we are out of time for questions. I apologize. We'll take one more since you were waiting, but I'm sorry because more people have added. What I would say is, as people explore outer space, the happiest people I know explore inner space. And that comes in the form, I mean, we're more connected as a society than ever before in history, but more disconnected in terms of humanity, tribal stuff. And like from a sex standpoint, since so much of my interest is in sexual addiction, I mean, pornography addiction is through the charts. In terms of AI and VR is absolutely changing that sort of world. And if you read a book, Sex with Robots, which I first heard about at Singularity, it sounds funny, everyone makes jokes about it, but the way people interact, I mean, it's going to become part of the world. So the point is, looking at your inner world is just as valuable as looking at outer space. So there's a lot there. So
The head of VR from Stanford, who's coming to Abundance 360 this year, his work is on increasing empathy using VR.
I just think they should have more female. If the tech guys are good, they should come
totally
to female
agree.
to
totally
listen
agree.
for empathy.
Absolutely.
And that piece is missing. And
well,
it's failing
but here's
so
the
fast.
opportunity. Anyone here that's female can take that on, or I don't think it's a male or female. Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, once you know about what's going on, it's your choice to decide to what level you want to take it.
We made a big push for women at A360 this year. The challenge is women are not stepping up. I mean, I'm being very blunt about it. Women are not stepping up to the game.
I think you have to create spaces for people who haven't been given an opportunity to step up.
Hey, here we are today. This is a good starting point for anything. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for a fascinating talk. It's probably the most fascinating hour I've sat with someone on stage, so thank you very much. I've made a commitment to kind of concentrate and focus and learn everything there is to know about artificial intelligence in education and applying it to executive coach education. One of the things that I found very, very interesting is Elon Musk kind of has a contradiction whereby he says on one hand he's very scared of artificial intelligence, and then on the other hand he's open sourcing everything he's doing, so he's effectively giving the power to the people that could be corrupted by it. I'd be very interested to hear your thoughts on that, Peter.
So listen, AI is not only here, it's accelerating, and it's accelerating in more places than possibly. We are about to see an explosion of AI, and if AI were to develop on its own, the movie Her was a good example of an AI helping people and then developing and just going off-world. But what also is going on is this AI and humans together. So it's not about AI versus humans, it's about the creation of HI, or human intelligence. We're about to undergo this transformation, and I fundamentally believe it, right? This is not about religious terms, this is about a reinvention. We're going from evolution by natural selection, which is Darwinism, to evolution by intelligent direction. It might be scary if you think that humans aren't that intelligent, but this is happening. This is out of the box, this genie is going, we're transforming, and it's going to be in combination and partnership with AI. And so we're about to become empowered, that we're going from that prokaryotic cell to that eukaryotic cell. And so I think it's going to be humans enabled by AI. It's going to allow us to solve every problem we have on this planet. It's going to allow us to transform to a multiplanetary species. The thing I want to come across is it's not some science fiction for your kids or their kids. It's our life. It's during our lifetime. It's the next 30 years, next 20 years perhaps. So I think AI is the most important discovery and tool ever created by humanity. So I'll leave it at that.
And nothing to fear, or?
There's always something to fear by technology, but from my standpoint, I believe that the upside orders of magnitude outweighs the downside.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, to be aware of what's going on versus to have your heads in the cloud is not a better position. Yeah. So thank you, sir. Always awesome. And Peter Diamandis, I should say your name right. And one of my favorite quotes from Peter, he's got a shitload of them, is the day before a breakthrough, it was a crazy idea, right? And so go out and make whatever breakthroughs you have real, and then the world will think you're awesome. So thank you.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Okay, I hope you found that video awesome and useful. So if you want to get a free copy of my book, I want you to click here. And if you want to watch some more videos that'll be useful and awesome, click here. Go ahead. They're over here. Do it now. Come on. Thank you. Watch them.